Hello everyone and welcome along to your immediate post-match reaction to Rangers 2, Hibs 0, potentially a result none of us thought was going to come tonight, but Rangers did indeed run out 2-0 winners over Hibs at Ibrox in the Premier Sports Cup quarter-final. I'm here with JB tonight at an absolutely freezing Ibrox. We've just left Russell Martin's post-match press conference. Seemed a very happy man, JB. Also a bit spiky after some of the comments from some fan media last week, but all in all, a very happy man. We'll come on to these comments afterwards, but overall, what do you make of the game today?
Yeah, I thought it was good. Obviously, got off to a bit of a interesting start. We just caught the start of the protests outside the ground. Obviously, people very vocal in terms of the way that things have started this season, and obviously, people have got the right to get that opinion. In the main, it looked as if it was all done respectfully. Didn't see much bother at all. Obviously, very vocal, but yeah. And then onto the football. It was. I think you could see the players had a little bit more bit between the teeth in comparison to what we've seen the last few weeks. You could see there was a little bit braver at times. I think certainly as we get through the game, as the players grew into the game, and certainly after that second goal came, you've seen the players starting to really come out the shell a bit and show a bit of the quality that we haven't seen so far this season. But no, I was delighted with the overall result, and still plenty of room for improvement. Let's not get too excited, but it's definitely a building block and much needed.
Yeah, I think coming into today's game, we were all expecting one, it to be difficult, and two, for the weaknesses and the flaws that we've seen in this team over the sort of starting weeks of this season to really come through. We knew that Hibs are a quick team. We knew that they're a young team. We knew that they had started the season well, and they're pretty highly rated in terms of their squad and Scottish domestic terms. What do you think we did well today to kind of, I don't know, impose our game and I guess take advantage of our quality, or the quality of that we'd expect from our players, and just to, I guess, put our stamp on the game without letting Hibs really get into any rhythm or flow, or the only real chance that Hibs had, or the only real boost that they would have had, would be in the disallowed goal that Martin Boyle had. But that was really the only chance. For example, that was the only chance they managed to get in behind.
Yeah, I think that the players all seem to know the role today. I think that was quite big for me in terms of the back four. It was almost, I don't think there was an expectation for them to get forward too much, almost keep it really solid and quite tight. And the manager touched on that in his presser in terms of referencing the fact that James Tavernier was asked to play a slightly different role. I think that was more allowing Mikey Moore to kind of have that space to himself, which I'm sure we'll get to him later on in the pod. But and then if you go through the midfield, I think the midfield looked really comfortable.
We'll come on to Nico Raskin, I guess. Might as well do that just now. How important was he in that midfield?
I think he was massive. The manager said a couple of times in the presser in terms of we found a role that really suits Nico. I thought he showed a little bit of everything today. Raskin showed his determination, his work rate, his goal, in possession, some really nice touches, and he played a really important part in the second goal as well, finding a good run from Mikey Moore. So, yeah, no, he was immense. As I say, I think the players played with the midfield three seemed to play with a wee bit more freedom. We didn't seem to have that solid number six. Diamandi, for me, still at times struggling to see what he brings at times, but yeah, good performance in the main. I know Asgard. I know we discussed at times we thought he was kind of in between moments. Yeah. A lot of the feedback that we've seen from some of the comments online and some of the lads in the WhatsApp group have all thought that he'd done really well. So that one we might have to watch back. Yeah. But he was certainly one thing about Asgard. He was offering all the time. He was creating space. Just the only frustration for me is we weren't looking for the through ball enough. Everything was just very sidey, which could get frustrating at times.
I think we could probably take it in a couple of different sections. So I think in the first, probably up until we scored the first goal in the first half, I felt that we were playing well and we were playing better up until we got to the edge of the final third, and then we just struggled with that that final ball. I think we were trying to play that through ball a little bit more than we have done in recent games, but not enough for the amount of runs there were and actually the opportunities there were to do it. But I think that kind of came a bit with the confidence that we eventually got. But that's definitely a key part of how Russell Martin wants us to play, isn't it? Is that ball between centre half and fullback for the wide player to run onto?
Yeah, I still don't think we're seeing anywhere near enough of it. It's almost if there's an over reliance on passing through it, as opposed over 2-3 passes and trying to beat individuals one-on-one, as opposed to just going a wee bit more direct. There's a few times today we were in possession, you like just drop it in behind and give Gassama or Moore or Miovski something to chase, something to get in behind. So I still think that's a part of the game that's lacking. Sometimes I think we're making 2, 3, 4, 5 passes when one pass would do. Yeah. Just get it in behind and get teams turn. Because one thing that we don't seem to do is we don't allow Scottish teams to have errors. We almost want to try and do everything perfect, but sometimes you've got to have that controlled chaos. And I think that's something that we need to start bringing to the game.
Yeah, definitely. We've spoken for weeks and weeks and weeks, it's felt like, on this podcast about how we're just not creating any chances for our strikers. We're not creating any chances for open play. First 40 minutes or so was very much that again. It was a set piece that helped us to break the deadlock. Great run across the front of the goal by Nico Raskin. Really good ball from James Tavernier. James Tavernier had 4 or 5 great crosses last week against Hearts from set pieces, but there was just no one there to get on the end of them. Another great one tonight for Nico Raskin to run on in a powerful header into the back of the net and caught us all by surprise. There's a sort of slight delayed reaction when we scored because none of us expected it, but It was really well worked goal and exactly what we needed.
No, yeah, really well worked. I say really good ball in from the side, and him and Cornelius both made the same run looking for it, and terrific header. I say we know Nico's got that in his locker. It's
the same run Joe Aribo used to make, isn't it? It's the exact same run,
and he made the run at Parkhead tail end of last year as well. So it's definitely something in there. I thought Raskin's all-round game was brilliant today. As I said earlier, he showed a little bit of everything that you want from a midfield, and you just got to hope that he keeps that standard high now. The bar's there, and let's hope he's in the team to stay.
Yeah, it was 1-0 up, and it looked like Hibs had a chance straight after that, where I can't remember who it was, but they knock it just inches wide of the post, and it was a Boyle, So it knocks inches wide of the post, and I thought they should have scored at that point. Then you start to think we really do need a second goal here, and it arrived, our first goal from open play in domestic football this season. So lovely ball from Nico Raskin involved again. Lovely ball, just kind of chipped, curled ball into Mikey Moore. His shot was blocked by Bashiri, and I said to you at half time, but it felt like that's the first time in a long time that a deflection's actually landed to us in the box, and Bojan Miovski scored his first goal for Rangers. Feels like it's the first shot at goal he's had in the games that he's played, which is a damning indictment on how we've been playing. But he was there in the right place at the right time to find the back of the net, and 2-0 up, and it puts a whole different perspective on the performance when that goes in, doesn't it?
Yeah, most definitely, because he looked a bit isolated for most of the first half. He wasn't really getting involved. He wasn't coming deep for a touch or anything, but you kind of see the relief as soon as that goal kind of went in for him. Not just him, I think the whole team kind of grew a wee bit. There was players offering for the ball a wee bit more. There was players getting in space. There's been times this season, I think we've all been critical in terms of players hiding and not wanting to take responsibility. But once that second one went in, you could see people making really positive runs, people wanting the ball. And I say we just got to try and make sure that this is that spark. As I say, I think a lot of people coming into today kind of expecting, if we go 1-0 down, it could get toxic quite quickly. We did get a wee bit of a scare with Martin Boyle. Rightfully handball. I don't think anyone particularly seen that in the stadium at the time.
In the stadium, it looked like it just came off his thigh, didn't it?
But Nico Raskin again was in the referee's ear. He was adamant. He's seen it. Cornelius didn't have much of appeal, albeit he was trying to pull himself out the net at the time. But
what about Cornelius in that moment? He's one-on-one with Martin Boyle, who, and a lot of people we've seen saying that Cornelius looked really slow in that moment. How much of that is down to just how fast Martin Boyle is at the end of the day, and the fact that Cornelius may not be the quickest player in the world, but I don't think he was necessarily at fault from a pace perspective there, or cut out from a pace perspective. It's just the fact that Martin Boyle is really just that quick.
Yeah, Martin Boyle's, he's probably one of the quickest in the league, to be fair. I know he's not no spring chicken, but he's still got the pace, and he knows how to position himself really well. So his first touch from memory just took him across Cornelius. So Cornelius had to then try and get back round a wee bit. I would have liked to have seen him probably lean in a little bit, just get a little bit physical, but that early on in the game, as we've seen with De Ziger a few weeks ago against Dundee at home, you've just got to be so careful in that position.
Yeah.
If you clip a heel or do anything, you're down to 10 men, and it's a real uphill battle. But no, in the main, I thought Cornelius performed really well. Gives us that balance that we've desperately needed.
Yeah.
He actually made John Suter look better again. And it allowed more space for Magoma as well, I thought, in terms of that. As soon as Cornelius got it, he could open the game up and find them. And I thought Magoma really grew into the game, second half especially. You could see lots of running, lots of positive movement.
I think he just needs to. There's a few times where he goes into a shell a wee bit and he just plays a safe pass, or he turns to go backwards, and you just feel like he can really just continue going forward all the time. But that probably speaks for quite a lot of the team, actually, in which sometimes they just shrink a wee bit and they just play it. I'm not going to lose the ball here. I'll just keep possession and we'll keep going from there. Whereas there is an opportunity to play perhaps somewhat a riskier pass or a different pass that opens up the game or puts us in more of an attacking position. I think when we arrived here, we obviously said that the big travelling Hibs support was here, and they were here for a day out, and they were so confident and so up for it, and so up for a party. Effectively, it was our concern as well at the start of the game was what Hibs were going to do, and it's not often you say that as a Rangers fan in terms of you're worried about what the opposition are going to do. How nice was it to be 2-0 up at half time and just calm all of that?
Yeah, I think it really took the sting out of it. Certainly from an away crowd perspective, they just got back in the box, didn't they? Really, kept them quiet, and then you could kind of see even within the ground. I think everybody was a little bit more relaxed. I think everybody came in. I want to say probably vying for blood a little bit. Everyone kind of had that little bit of a going entertainers type of feel about it, and fair play to the players. They've stood up, they've taken responsibility, and it was the perfect response to what's been going on. I did see some nonsense online in terms of some people saying, "Oh, a defeat today might be the best thing for us long term." I can't really subscribe to that. In terms of it's too big of a competition for us to make sure that we're in the mix between this and the Scottish Cup. It might be. I'm hoping not. Might be that all we've got to realistically play for. But as I say, if we play like today against one of the better teams in the league, if we put that type of performance in, the effort, the application, then we won't go too far wrong. I think there's still a bit missing for me in terms of the attacking three into the front man. There's still that little bit of a lag there, but there was times today where you could really see a form of a game plan. I know Russell Martin was quite spiky at the end of his press conference in terms of do the players look coached this week? I think that's an easy one to say after a win. But in terms of I genuinely thought that you could see improvement, and I still think there's a couple of personnel changes to probably get us to our strongest 11 as well.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. A big point that Russell Martin made last week, and a lot of people focused on, was around the players feeling really anxious, especially at Ibrox when they're playing very differently on a Saturday or a Sunday to how they do on a Thursday and a Friday in training. How it did feel like even after we scored the first goal, we just saw a weight lift off their shoulders a little bit. They all just seemed a bit more relaxed, a bit more confident in what they were doing, and they played better as a result. But also the fans had more confidence, it felt, at that stage as well. I felt it was really noticeable today in today's game. Is that what you felt as well?
Exactly that. I think someone we were sitting next to made the comment, the players look lighter. It was almost a case of people didn't look flat-footed. People were looking for space. As I said earlier, people weren't standing behind the man. They were actually making a little 5-yard run into space just to get an extra touch. I thought Asgard was really good at that. I thought Asgard was was always offering for a touch. At times, a little bit negative in possession, but you just wonder whether that was just almost a case of just trying to keep things calm. Naturally, I think me and you said we're going to probably need the third here just to make sure that it's comfortable. But I think in terms of the players on that pitch, they didn't want to put themselves into a scenario where today wasn't a case for them to be showboating, and it was almost a case of just get the job done and get up the road. And that's what was done ultimately. We're in the half for the next round.
Yeah, semi-final of the Premier Sports Cup, and that's, I guess, the bare minimum of what you would expect as you go into the season. Mikey Moore started again today, and there was a lot of raised eyebrows when that happened, and I think there's a lot of questions around, well, I wonder, given his performances so far, I wonder how much of it is just perseverance until he settles in, and how much of it is there something in his contract that maybe suggests he's got to start a certain number of games or a certain percentage of games or something like that. Not entirely sure what the answer is there, but what did you make of him today?
Yeah, I mean, you can't go all in on him. He's a young lad. He's developing. I'd rather it was one of our own young lads learning and developing. I haven't seen much between him and Finlay Curtis at all in terms of ability, work rate, effort. I think every time Finlay Curtis comes on, he's at least a goal threat. But one thing he's going to need to do, it might be a case of he'd have been a good player to bring on today at 2-0 up, where everyone was a little bit more relaxed. He can afford to give the ball away. Everything I'd seen from and everything I heard from is how good of a ball carrier he was. Yeah. All I've seen him do since he's come in is kind of make 5-yard passes backwards or sideways. So again, we're not going to go all in on him. A young lad, he's still, I say, just turned 18. However, I do think in the position that we're in, and as we move into Thursday, a massive European game and then Livingston away, I don't think we can be in too much in experimental mode. I think you probably start to see a bit of experience come in, whether that be through Antman, who I thought had a positive impact when he come on,
or scored a cracking goal,
or Bezrami. I could be another. I'm saying that Bezrami's not in the European squad, so he'll have a job getting in the 11 on Thursday. Just dawned on me. So I think Antman to come in probably on Thursday, I think would definitely be an upgrade. But I think we need to start trying to understand, okay, what is our strongest 11, and where possible, try and default to that. There'll be times where we will need to make changes, players feeling a bit leggy, but we're only 8 weeks into the season. Do you know what I mean? So I'd like to think the players have got enough within the locker through fitness and everything else to starting to put the same team on the pitch over the next few weeks and try and get that bit of momentum, a bit more of a style, start to build relationships on the pitch. That's something that I think we've been missing for years with all the chopping and changing between different managers and different situations. You can't name any partnerships throughout the team. The only one you could probably say is Diamandi and Raskin, when they've been on the pitch quite a lot over the last couple of years, and they put in some massive performances over the years. So let's just hope that them two can find that rhythm and start to go again, because it was a different role today for Diamandi as well. So he was asked to probably do the more of the 6. And then Raskin could then go a little bit more, whereas that's been the ask for Diamandi so far this season. So it's it's a real interesting time again. I feel happy. I know it's a little bit of hopefully a little bit of a reset for us on the pitch. It's not, as I say, I just hope today isn't just a mask, and we can kind of get that bit of momentum built up now.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things that stood out to me was that it wasn't just 2-0 clinging on to 2-0. No, it was 2 going on 4 or 5.
Well, we said offline, didn't we? We couldn't recall Hibs actually having a shot on target.
And that was what I wanted to come on to, was really, in pretty much every game that we've watched so far, we've conceded 10, 15 chances a game to teams. Potentially Celtic being the only team that we didn't afford that number of chances to. It felt like there was such a difference today. Why do you think that was? What do you think was the reason behind that? And I guess that's just something that perhaps potentially comes from what Russell Martin spoke about in terms of the coaching that's gone on during the week. They've been able to talk about setup and being able to talk about positioning and all of that sort of stuff. Do you think that's what it's come from, or is it playing slightly deeper? Obviously, we spoke about Cornelius in the first half getting caught. There's don't know if you can say he got caught, or just the team as a whole got caught with that high line. And then that was never a risk for the rest of the game. So whether we just dropped back slightly, where do you think that solidity, is that a word? I think that's a word. Where did that solidity come from?
I definitely think it was more, as I said earlier, I think we looked more balanced. Yeah. I definitely think everyone seemed to know the role. I think the disallowed Martin Boyle goal kind of did give us a little bit of a shake, and everything just kind of dropped 10 yards just to make sure there wasn't that much space in behind. You could see it was a clear game plan for Hibs. It was almost, that's all they had up the sleeve, was kind of looking for that direct ball in behind. But I think John Suter and Cornelius's positioning was really good today. There wasn't too many times other than that one for the offside, for the handball, that where we were caught out of position. Yeah. So I think that, and then I thought the midfield three worked really hard, both in and out of possession. So I think it was probably an accumulation of them two things, I think, was really helpful. And I don't think Hibs were particularly on it. I do wonder whether they, coming into this game as in some people's eyes as favourites, you just wonder whether that tag on them and that additional pressure on their shoulders was there to see. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just as we watch Marvin Andrews break into sprint across the stands there. There he goes up the stairs. He's still moving. He's rapid. There you go.
Yes. As the game kind of went on, Yusuf Chermite came on for the last 15 minutes or so. We spoke a little bit when we were sitting watching the game in terms of, it felt like Rangers as a team were starting to try to manage the game out for the last 15-20 minutes or so. So you start to feel sorry for these guys that their only chances in those last 10, 15, 20 minutes, and actually the rest of the team was just trying to manage it through and potentially not going forward at the same pace and create chances at the same pace. But Yusuf Chermite came on. Couple of moments where he tripped over the ball, which isn't ideal for an £8 million striker, but then he had that one where he was clean through on goal. I thought he looked really confident and composed as because he picked it up at the halfway line, so it's a long way to run. Yeah. He looked really confident and composed as he was running through on goal. And I thought he pushed the shot fine. I was just a bit unlucky that the goalkeeper made a good save. But what did you make of that, and what did you make of what I guess you saw from him in the 15 minutes or so that he was on the park?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for the big fella, the price tag's always got to hang above him. Yeah. I think it's almost the case, if we'd have brought him in for a couple of million, or if we'd have brought him in on loan, you probably wouldn't have been looking there with that expectation. I heard somebody say, is that what 10 million buys you nowadays, just after he missed? And someone made the comment, well, Cyril Dessers could have done that last season. That was a Cyril Dessers type chance. Apologies if anyone is in the background. I think it's John Suter's daughter shouting "Dad" in the background, so apologies if the mic's picked that up. I think in terms of he looks like he's going to be a bit of a handful. He's very similar to the kind of the profile of striker that Everton have had over the last couple of years as well. Obviously seeing quite a bit of them down there, but Beto and the boy Barry that he just signed, and Calvert-Lewin to a lesser extent, in terms of he does look a handful. You can see once they get in positions, he's all arms and legs. As you say, I thought he looked really confident going through. Again, you've got to be critical, unfortunately, at this level. I'd like to see him almost at least hitting the woodwork. He's got to beat the keeper. But I say maybe you could just put it down to if Jack Butland had made that save, we'd have been delighted and said great save from the goalkeeper. So we'll need to see it back. But it's early days for him. As I say, he hasn't got the pressure, to be fair, of coming in as the number one striker, despite that price tag. I said to you at the start, didn't I? Goes to show how good we are. We've got a 10 million striker about to come on, and we're not that excited. That's how good we are now. But I think it's early days for the lads, and just got to hope that he needs to get that first goal. But as you said, as you rightfully said, it's on these guys sometimes coming on when the game's done. But I'm sure plenty of opportunity over the coming weeks to showcase his ability.
Yeah, to round us off, because it's absolutely freezing here. You can hear JB's nose getting more and more blocked as the podcast goes on. How much does this lift a wee bit of pressure and a wee bit of weight off the team, off the club, off the manager? How much does this result and do that? How much does it, as a fan, give you hope that there might be something here that can work longer term, or there's actually we've all looked at Russell Martin's press conferences over the last few weeks and gone, how can you think there's something here? And actually, maybe today we started to see the shoots of something, or is that clutching at straws a little bit in the hope of some positivity?
I think as a fan, that's all we can do. We can just kind of just hope that there's that things do start to click into place. As I say, unfortunately, all assessments are going to get done on Thursday night now. We move on to Thursday night, which again, it just turns into another must-win game for them. I think, at least on Thursday, on the European scene, we've got to be seen to be performing really well. It's going to be a step up in class, pretty much with every team that we come across in the group stages. I think it's quite a friendly draw to us. There should be nobody in that group that should be absolutely blowing us away. So let's just hope we can go on and we have the bit of Thursday night magic. I thought the crowd today was bigger than what I was kind of expecting as well. So I don't know whether that was a little bit of people who were maybe on the fence earlier in the week have then said, right, I'll go, because there was a lot of gaps, but there was gaps, but in terms of the gaps, it wasn't nowhere near the amount. But again, it's going to be interesting to see what happens on Thursday, because there's been a lot of talk about people cancelling CCS, people cancelling European packages and stuff. So just got to hope on Thursday night it's just another good Thursday night to Rangers night, as we like to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Final question, because it has been a very positive podcast, so why don't we touch slightly on a negative? But we dropped to 11th place in the league today after Dundee scored a 97th minute penalty, I think it was.
I've got a 250-mile journey home now. You didn't have to put levers on a negative. Yeah, go on, finish your question.
How concerning is that, I guess, or how it's a strange situation, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the fact is we are where we are. We deserve to be where we are based on the performance we've put in so far this season, and based on the quality that we've shown. We haven't created anywhere enough chances. We haven't played anywhere, put the opposition under anywhere near the amount. The work rate just hasn't been there throughout the team. Players have looked scared. They've looked confused. Today was the first time I think we've kind of stepped away from that, other than maybe the Panathinaikos at home and Pilsen at home. Yeah. So let's just hope that, as I say, the players can use that as a springboard. As I say, we could be bottom of the league going into our before we play Livingston.
Hopefully not, given the way Aberdeen
are playing, then we should be all right. But yeah, that'll be a damning look. And unfortunately for Rangers teams over the years, going away to Livingston isn't a place that is one that fills us with excitement, is it? So, but again, just gives the players another chance to kind of show that they're up for it. And yeah, we'll see where we go.
Yeah. We'll round it off there because it's absolutely freezing. So thank you very much to JB for joining us. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please make sure you subscribe to the TII YouTube channel. We'll have some really good fun giveaways coming up over the next wee while. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled on our Twitter account, X account for that, as well as our YouTube channel. The team will be back tomorrow night live at 7:30 p.m. for our regular Sunday night podcast. So make sure you join them then. But thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Till next time. Goodbye.